So, this is awkward. This feels strange to me now. I don't know if my mic is right either. Like, I knew everything. It's pretty weird. This is weird to me now. That's how long it's been since I've sat down to record anything. It's been a long... Like, last year was a long, strange, frustrating, aggravating year that I basically sort of dropped off the face of the earth as far as YouTube is concerned. So before we move on, before we can move forward with stuff that I plan to do, I need to sort of... I feel the need that before I move on to do anything, I need to break down why last year was so heinous and where I went. For the 2 people still following my videos. So yeah, here we go. So it started last year. Last year, I started playing Resident Evil 4. I started playing Resident Evil 4 again, and the thing that has... the reason I started that playthrough in like 2012, and I resumed it in 2014. I didn't start it in 2012. I left off in 2012. I may have started in 2011. I don't know. But every time I started up that playthrough, something fucking terrible would happen. Something terrible would happen. Something aggravating would happen. And I would get frustrated with it and move on. So I started playing Resident Evil 4 again in 2014. And what happened was suddenly... I'm going to have to figure out the positioning for this microphone. Sorry if you're getting pops constantly. It's a bit sensitive. It's a little tricky. I need to find a good place for it. What happened was suddenly and understand, like, at this time, at the point that I'm talking about, I was also literally gearing up, collecting footage, recording and editing for the new intro to like Rise of the Red Shirt Series 3. This could not have happened at a worse time. So literally what happens is the power supply starts dying. At first I thought it was the CPU heatsink. It was starting to grind, because it's the same heatsink I've had since I bought the computer, and it's got this ducted cowling, you know, so not an ideal design, but the form factor of the motherboard is so old from the old computer, and I just spoiled something, but we'll get to that, is so old that no modern heatsink fits it. So I take a picture. I actually like remove the heatsink, take a picture of the internals of my PC, like of the motherboard, in my PC, and the guy I take it to a components store near where I live, and I hand it to the guy, and he's like, I can't. I got nothing for this, man. This is fucking. Nothing. I got nothing. The best I could do was buy a new fan, because at least a fan would fit on top of the mounting, on top of the manifold. There was like this cowling that would slide into place on top of the manifold, but you could slide the cowling off, and I put a new fan in there. That probably was a better fan at this point than the fan built into the cowling was. So there was that. But the grinding persisted. So I started replacing fans in the tower to see what was going on, and I eventually replaced all of them. and I was still hearing grinding, and at that point there was only one fan left that I could not replace, and that was in the power supply. So the power supply was dying. The power supply was dying, and the power supply was a weird-ass form factor that, again, like the CPU heatsink, could not be easily replaced. And why the fuck would you? Because that PC I got in 2006. That PC lasted 8 years before it was replaced. That was the PC that I've been doing all of my capturing on since before I started putting shit on YouTube, basically. That's how long I've had that PC. So I ended up having to suspend recording because I could play games as long as they weren't on high settings, so the computer wasn't drawing too much, but I could not record. Recording was off. Recording was completely out of the question, partially because of the noise. The computer would make this ungodly squeaking, ratcheting, sort of scratching noise from the motor. The motor was dying, okay? The motor was dying hard. And also, I forgot to mention this, when I took the picture of the internals, the motherboard used very old, and I'm talking like again, this was a PC from like 2006. It used like old capacitors, and those were swelling. And the guy who takes a look at it tells me, your motherboard's dying. Not only is the power supply, is the motor and the power supply giving out, the motherboard itself is dying. So even if you could replace the power supply, the motherboard's going to die anyways. So it was time to finally break down and do what I've been meaning to do for a long time, and get a new tower. Get a new baseline tower that I can upgrade. And it took me a little looking around to find a tower that was equal or above just about everything my computer could do. Because it's actually a little bit hard to find that at a decent cost. It's strange. I had tried to keep my 2006 eMachines as updated and up to par with modern games as much as I could. So I didn't want to downgrade. I wanted to take where I was then and have that be the baseline that I could upgrade from. So that took a little while, and I eventually found one at that same component store that I mentioned. I was looking around, and I got led there, and I found one that was slightly more powerful, but across the board better for a somewhat reasonable cost. I'm not going to say it was cheap, because it wasn't, but it wasn't break the bank expensive, and it was exactly what I wanted, a baseline that I could upgrade. So what I'm looking at right now, just to describe from you, well, let me start by describing to you what I've just come from, what I had to upgrade from, and I upgraded bear in mind, the computer I'm about to describe to you, the old one that I've been using, its power supply started dying in April or May, and then it survived a power surge. There was a power surge. May have been in May or June. There was a big power surge. There was a power outage and a power surge immediately before it. It was in the middle of summer. It was hot as hell. It was probably June. It was hot as hell, and there was a power surge. It happens. Lines arc, it happens when it's so ridiculously hot that lines start melting, which it was. So there's a huge power surge. Gone. Everything gone. Everything gone. Everything gone. Everything on the hard drive, gone. Footage that I'd recorded that was sitting there. The footage I'd been editing for the intro to Rise of the Red Shirt. Stock footage. Stock music. Old intros. everything. Everything. Everything? Everything. Gone. All of it. The surge fucked the disk so bad that Windows could not even see the user partition anymore. It was gone. It was wiped. There was no retrieving it. It was fucked. Somehow, that old computer survived its power supply, dying, overheating constantly and dying, and then getting a power surge. And somehow, that old computer managed to hang on until the middle of the summer in July. Towards the end of July, I think, in fact, where I finally upgraded it. I am half tempted to do something with that tower. If I could put that tower on a plinth for all the shit I have thrown at it, and it has sometimes chugged, many times complained, but still done. Like if I could like mount it on a wall shelf and just like put it there, you know, just like its place, it has earned a place somewhere. So that's probably what I'm gonna do. Because that thing is one of the best PCs I have ever used. And it's old as shit, and it's not current remotely at all. And you're about to hear that when I describe what I was working with before. Because you're going to fucking flip. So what I was working with before was, it was a 300-something watt power supply. It wasn't spectacular, anything spectacular. It wasn't anything terrible either. Middle of the road. Even today, 300 or so is basically default what you get in the case, so it's middle of the road. Lots of old shitty Foxconn parts. Like, in fact, I couldn't even find the fucking motherboard. I'd have to look for it. I might post it in the description. In fact, I'll probably post the PC specs in the description so those of you who are more component-minded can look up the parts and laugh at me. Maximum, but the motherboard could only be upgraded to 2 gigabytes of RAM. 2 gigs. That's the limit. That's as high as you could push that motherboard. I'm not kidding. Graphics card from 2010, 1 gig of DDR3 RAM. Which is fine. DDR2 RAM, by the way, is what that motherboard used. It could only be upgraded to 2 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM. Oh, yeah. 2 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM was probably killer in 2003. You were fucking shit up with 2 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM in 2003. You were the envy of the block. Yeah. No, you weren't. Not even in 2001. God damn it. Oh, God. So, a dual-core processor that ran at... And this is where people really laugh at me. It was a Pentium D processor that ran... dual-core Pentium D processor that ran at 2.6 gigahertz per core. I'll give you a moment to laugh. Yeah. Not an impressive... This thing was not impressive at all. This is... And again, this itself is fairly middle of the road. It's still an aged motherboard. This isn't like a bleeding edge motherboard that I've got in here. It can only handle up to a quad core, as I believe what the specs say on the site. Although I'll have to ask somebody who works with components and has worked with this motherboard to see what you can really push it to. If that's really a hard set limit, or if that's just like the recommended specs. But either way, I've already got a quad core sitting on a shelf. I'm gathering things to upgrade this thing already. So I got this in July. And what I'm starting from here is I've got a dual core running at 3.7. I wish it was 30 gigabytes per core. At 3.7 gigabytes or gigahertz per core, which is far better. Still a dual core though, so I'm not terribly better. It's not terribly better, but it is. Like, it's a more recent core. It's a more recent processor, and it's able to do a lot that the old one would not. And then again, I've already got like a quad core sitting on a shelf. I'm just waiting for a couple more things to put that in. It is upgradable. It came out of the box with 4 gigabytes of RAM, so we've already doubled there. Upgradable to 64 gigabytes of RAM. DDR3 instead of DDR2. Again, that's already kind of an aging standard, but for now that'll do. Same graphics card. I'm still using the same graphics card from 2010. It's all right. I've got plans to upgrade that thing as well. Unfortunately, I used to have an old Belkin wireless receiver, which is no longer compatible with Windows 7. This thing uses Windows 7 Premium, I think, is the one. It's the Windows 7 to rule them all, basically, is whatever this one has in it. And it's got your standard power supply that you get in just about every case, your standard crappy power supply. Yet another thing I have sitting on the shelf. Right now I have 2 hard drives in this thing. One of them is a 500 gigabyte Western Digital that came with it, and another is a 500 gigabyte Western Digital sent to me by Mveculus. So big thanks to Mveculus for that second hard drive. I'll be able to store lots of footage on that once I start recording in earnest. And I'll be able to store a lot of stuff on that when it comes time to install that processor, because then I'll have to reinstall the OS. Possibly, because one of the things that I am planning on getting before I install that processor is a solid-state drive. I'll install that to the computer. I'll install the operating system to that, boot it off of that, and then everything will just run. It'll post in like 3 seconds. It'll be great. It'll be great. I might install Steam to that so Steam doesn't chug quite as much as it always does. Steam has always felt sluggish to me. Even like when it was brand new, and even today, even on a better computer, Steam just feels sluggish. So I might install Steam on the SSD and have like the actual library on one of the disks. So yeah. So what I have to upgrade this thing currently is I have an HDMI cable for the graphics card to hook to my very nice Acer flat screen. I've got a Corsair power supply, Corsair modular power supply. So it's basically a power supply with a bunch of ports in it. Comes with a mess of cables. Use only the cables that you need to use, and the rest can just go back in the box and wait. So I've got that. I have an AMD quad core. I can't see the model type from here, but it is a quad core. Basically, each core is at the same level as the dual core is. It's 3.7 gigabytes per core. It can spike up to like 4.2 gigahertz. Gigabytes, I said. Bleh. So I'm basically doubling my processor horsepower, which is nice. I'm going to need that for things like Metal Gear Solid and Elite Dangerous eventually. And right next to that, I have a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo, which is only the most used CPU heatsink on the planet, basically. The two things that I'm going to get are, I was looking at a budget Samsung SSD, but that one apparently fell through. So what I'm looking at is an ADATA solid-state drive that was that I got pointed at by Andrew of Temporal Directive. Big thanks. So that's something I'm saving up for. or budgeting for at least. And some Arctic Ice MX4, because the thermal compound I have is old and was fine with the old computer, but if I'm going to be upgrading this thing, like opening this thing up, I don't want to use like the same old crappy thermal compound I've been using forever. So I'm just going to buy some Arctic Ice MX4. It has the benefit of being non-conductive, so even if there is a bit of mess, which there shouldn't be, but it won't fry your computer immediately, as long as you clean it up with something like a coffee filter that doesn't leave shit behind. Or at least a decent coffee filter doesn't leave shit behind. I don't know what kind of coffee filter others use. So yeah, that's phase 1 of the upgrades to this thing, and I'm about 75% there on the stuff I need for it. And once I get the Arctic Ice and the SSD, I'm going to open this thing up and just rip out its guts and replace them with better stuff. And that's when I'll start more recording in earnest. Because that's the thing. That's all the stuff that I need to reinstall the OS for, more or less. This is like the big pain in the ass upgrade. The rest of them, like buying more RAM, like I've got some like HyperX Furies I'm looking at on Amazon. You know, I'm gonna get an R90X, which is again only the most common graphics card on the planet. It won't let me max out in most games, but I will be able to play most of them. So those will be easy because I can just snap it in there and go. I do need to get a riser card. I need to get a riser card to convert PCI 2.0 to PCI Express for a TV tuner card, so I can use that with my consoles. The way I have all of my consoles hooked up to the PC now. This is something I did over. This is one of the projects I had over the summer. Was figuring out how I was going to do this, so I can more easily capture console footage. Basically, I have everything hooked up to the PC through the Dazzle card currently. I want to get the TV tuner card so I can hook up like an RF switch box and just have everything plugged in through that, and I can just use that to play everything through Media Center, basically, and record off of Media Center instead of using Media Player Classic. Or I could like pipe it into Media Player Classic. I don't know, whichever one uses less memory, I guess. But yeah, that's the idea. So everything is sort of like situated next to the computer now, and I have everything hooked up off and on to the Dazzle. It works. It works pretty well. I've tested everything with it. N64, GameCube, etc. It's fine. So yeah, I would have started recording then, actually, over the summer. I wanted to start recording then. I really felt like starting recording then, except I couldn't. 2014 sucked. Halfway through the summer, this was just as I bought the new computer, I started suffering from some health issues, namely chronic coughing. A chronic nagging cough that lasted for months. Okay? This was a bad cough. Like you couldn't. I would wake up and it would feel like there was something in my throat, and I would be coughing constantly. And some of you probably can guess what I have already, or what I've been dealing with already. And if you've dealt with this, then you know this gets aggravating, and it can get bad if you don't realize what you're dealing with quickly. Which I did. So I had to make quite a few lifestyle changes as I tried to get better over the course of the year. And as the year wore on, towards the end of November to December, I finally started getting better. I'm on some stuff. Pills here. I basically take it once a day. And don't go stupid with some of the things that I do. And I've gotten much better. And I can speak without bursting into a coughing fit now, which I suppose is good. And along the way, just about everything that I had broke as soon as I replaced the computer. Keyboard broke. Headset broke. Bought a new headset. That broke. Mouse broke. Just about everything has been replaced. The monitor has not been replaced. Although now that I've said that, I'm sure something will happen to the monitor. Which would suck because I really like this monitor. 2014 was a bad year for me. I also did get, well, with one exception, I did get a new job. So there is that. Nothing terribly impressive, but enough for some extra cash flow. Which is where all this is coming from, essentially. Like all these upgrades and such. So yeah. Bad year. A couple other things that happened is this year, you will probably be seeing me do a few playthroughs of PlayStation 3 games, because I've made the jump from a 360 to a PlayStation 3. Guess what else broke this year? That was really the last straw for me this year. That 360. That 360 I got... I got that 360 at the end of 2013. I went through 3 of them. Was it 20? It had to be 2013, because I was playing Verdict Day. Armored Core Verdict Day, which I love, and you will see me do a playthrough of this game. I will probably do a playthrough of Armored Core 5 first, just to be sure, but you'll see me do a playthrough of Verdict Day. Pretty sure. I love Verdict Day. This game hates me, but I love it. I need him. I need it. I love it. You know, I'm like a battered spouse on Cops when it comes to Armored Core nowadays, especially with Verdict Day. I need him. I love him. That's what Verdict Day's like. Verdict Day doesn't give a shit. Verdict Day takes your goodwill and smashes it in your face. Like, it takes your goodwill and bashes you in the face with it, and then does it again and says, "Is that all you got?" That's Verdict Day. That's the final boss of Verdict Day, which I swear got fucking harder on the PlayStation than it was on the 360. Because on the 360, the final boss of Verdict Day wasn't a joke, but he wasn't fucking impossible like he is now. You could beat him without a super specialized build. Oh, not any fucking more. You need to specialize. What the fuck are you... That's the one thing I hate about Verdict Day, is you need to fucking specialize to kick this guy's ass. The fuck are you doing with your, versatility? Fox Falco Final Destination. Bring some pile bunkers, bitch. That's what the final boss of Verdict Day is like. I fucking hate it on the PlayStation, but I love the game on both platforms. Might even get into some online play if Imveculous is up for it. Borderlands 2 is something else I got for the PlayStation 3. I don't know about that one. That's kind of boring. But yeah, I went through 3 360s in 1 month. In December. I think it was December of 2013. It was either 2012 or 2013. I went through 3 of them. 3. 3 360s. The one I'd had for years, busted. Red ring. Done. Take it in. Get a refurbished one. Busted. Red ring. Take it in. Get a refurbished one. That one, the third one worked. The third one I had in that month was the charm until the summer of 2014, when it started fucking. Disk tray doesn't open. Games don't load. Starts scratching discs. Just pissing me off. At that point, I got to thinking, what will I not be able to play if I get rid of this 360? Because when you get down to it, there's only three things. That I had for that 360 that I couldn't get elsewhere, either on the PS3 or PC. And that was Ace Combat 6, Halo, and Gears. And you know me, I love myself some fucking Halo. I really love myself some fucking Halo. You know. You've seen me play it. But man, fuck. I was done. Like, I could blow money. Blow more money. More money. Blow more money on a fucking another 360. I could blow the money on a 360E. Get a 3shitty that won't, with a heatsink that's not designed like a bulimic supermodel, where the heatsink won't fucking make contact with everything else. Where it won't swell and cause the general hardware failure. That's what the red ring error is for. That's what it means. I could blow money to do that, or I could spend the money on the new PC. Yeah, I'm going to get the new PC. Because I need that one. And I can make do without Gears and Halo 3 and Halo 4. I can get Halo 2 for PC. It sucks. It's not as good as the Xbox, I've heard. Or I had heard, because I have it. But I can play it. Like, the multiplayer probably doesn't work, unless, like, somebody figured out a way to, like, get private servers working. In which case, great! Fuck, I'll do that! You know? Halo 2 matchmaking on, like, PC and, like, some private server. Fuck it. That'll work. I'll do that. It was the best matchmaking in the goddamn series. Why wouldn't I do that? You know, I've got Halo 1 and Halo Custom Edition, like custom campaigns, like custom like servers for that. Why the fuck would I hang on to this thing? Like, I loved ODST, even if some people didn't. I loved how atmospheric it was. Loved Halo 4, and that's one of the real desperate tragedies of the fucking power surges, because I had a ton of Halo 4 footage sitting on that hard drive. Oh, God. I played through the whole game. I was incoherent by the time the game was over. I did it all in one sitting. The whole campaign of Halo 4. Solo. All night, like all day, all night. One session. I was incomprehensible by the end. I was dead. I was dead inside. It would have been great. It would have been great to at least watch. give me some catharsis after, like, sitting through that long-ass fucking session. And it was the second time I did it, because I did that once before after the game came out. But I thought, no, I'm at the time I thought, I'm dying too much in this playthrough, man. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna try this again when I'm, like, not dying. So I tried it again. It was just as bad, if not worse. We're talking, like, if you saw, like, Super Mario Brothers crossover, we're talking that level of dead inside by the end. I love this game. I just want it over, you know? And I was going to record Spartan Ops, which I fucking loved Spartan Ops. I loved Spartan Ops is actually my favorite part of that fucking game. Best part. You know, like, fuck the matchmaking. I don't give a shit. I don't give two shits about the matchmaking. Like I said, Halo 2, best matchmaking in the series. Best community in the series during Halo 2. You know? Like, Halo 3, I'm not saying Halo 3 wasn't fun. Halo 3 was a great game from Machinima, but as far as, like, a multiplayer community was, I ran into a lot more dickbags playing Halo 3 online. And I'm not even talking about years later. I'm talking about, like, after its release. I ran into way more dickbags playing that one online than I did the first couple years of matchmaking in Halo 2. I ran into dickbags in Halo 2, but never that many. Best matchmaking in the series. And now it's on the X-Bone. So, now it's on the X-Bone that I do not intend to buy because it's shit. It's just shit. It's just terrible. Its interface is terrible. Like, Microsoft has lost their goddamn minds. Again. That were, like, you know, saying lost would require them to have had it back in a long time, which I thought they did with Satya Nadella taking over, and then the Windows 10 press conference happened, and yeah, that changed my opinion really quick. Yeah. HoloLens, right? Skeptical. Anyways. What the fuck even was I talking about now? I just started talking about... I was talking about what games I could get rid of. Like what games I wouldn't be able to play and how much I would miss them when I couldn't. And of all of those, the one that I probably missed the most was Halo 4. And that's it. I hated Halo 3's plot towards the end. I thought it about the time you were, like, storming, like, right after you stormed the place with the flood to, like, stop truth, you know? Or not even, like, or, like, just before that, actually, is when I thought the plot took a nosedive into, like, stupid territory. When, like, Miranda crashes the Pelican. Like, that whole scene, I was like, oh, you fucking kidding me, really? That whole scene, I was like, oh. I think I said so in the playthrough, too. I was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? Get out of here with that shit, really? Like, that's what we're doing? So, yeah, like in the last act, I thought, like, Halo 3's plot took a nosedive into, like, stupid territory. Halo 4, easily one of the best campaigns in the series. Like, I put Halo 4's campaign next to Halo 1's. It was a great fucking campaign. It was a really great game. I'm actually really shocked that the Master Chief Collection has done as poorly as it is, considering how well 343 handled Halo 4. It was their first Halo game, and they knocked it out of the park. It was really good. I was shocked. So I gave, like, those games, I didn't give those games to GameStop, because fuck that. I'll give them, like, a shitty console to, like, refurbish and, like, give me some cash for it. Fine. But I'm not giving GameStop, like, some games that I took care of for years. You know, or months, in the case of Halo 4. Or was it a year? No, it came out in 2013. Like, I'm not gonna give GameStop those games, because I know they're just gonna fuck with them. I know they're gonna, like, fuck with them, they're gonna lose the case, or throw it away, which I've seen them do. I've seen, like, I've seen people at, like, a GameStop counter look through, like, their database and go, like, oh, I can't find the CD immediately. Oh, well, okay. Here's a perfectly good case with, like, the box art and label and everything. Everything, like, someone looking to collect, a game from an older console is looking for, you know, in addition to the game. They want the box, too. Like, a lot of people. Although I've heard a lot of people are intimidated by box art. I can't understand that. Let me just chuck it into the garbage. Like, what the fuck? I almost did that in the middle of the store. In fact, I should have. What the fuck? No way am I giving my shit to GameStop. There's a classic game store in town. I would rather give my shit to them than fucking GameStop. Because at least I know they give a shit about it. At least I know they're, like, in most cases, they're not going to chuck the box. They're not just going to, like, take the box and throw it out in the garbage. A perfectly good box. Like, a perfectly good box with box art and manual. They're not going to do that. They're going to throw that away. Get the fuck out of here. And I remember the game. It was a PS2 game. It was Jedi Starfighter. Jedi Starfighter 2, I think. One of the better Star Wars games that came out in that generation. It was fairly early in the PS2, you know, when you consider the length of the PS2's lifespan, how ridiculously long it lasted. Is, like, how ridiculously long it lasted. Still does last, too. PS2 still sells, like, gangbusters nowadays. In fact, I got asked the question, like, I was standing in said classic game store, and somebody, like, asked me a question. I was talking to another one of the customers, and he asked me what, if I had to, like, pick one, what was the best console? What was the best game console that ever came out? And my answer was PlayStation 2. My favorite is the original PlayStation. That's mostly a nostalgia thing. That was my, like, I have, like, amazing memories of the original PlayStation. Objectively, the PlayStation 2 was a better console, with a wider library of games that were much better put together than what you got on the original PlayStation. So objectively, it's a better console. And like the guy immediately, like, looks over to this older fellow, his father maybe, I don't know, and he, like, looks at him and goes, hint hint. It's still going. Like, it's still, like, PlayStation 2 is like Xbox, like the original Xbox, $20. GameCube, $20. PlayStation 2 sells for over $100. You know, it's at least the one I was looking at, and it was a PlayStation 2. It wasn't like anything special or anything. It was just a PS2. So yeah, still going, still awesome. And I'm going to be doing a shitload more PlayStation 2 games now that I can just play them through Media Player Classic. Yeah. So you're going to be seeing a shitload of PS2 games coming out Yeah, they're still being released. Being uploaded this year. I'm trying to think of what else went wrong, because there was plenty of other shit that went wrong. 2014 fucking sucked, man. Fuck that year. Fuck that year. Fuck that year. What didn't go wrong in 2014? Fuck that fucking year. I'm serious. I hated it. That year was fucking awful. All my shit's breaking. All my shit's getting fried by power surges. I'm getting sick, like in illness that lasts half the fucking year, and the symptoms are just so that I can't record shit all even after I've upgraded my PC. What the fuck? What the fuck? How bad can a year get? I don't want to know. That's not a dare or an invitation, 2015. I don't want to know. I am perfectly happy with where I am right now. Thank you. I am perfectly fucking happy. Sitting here, drinking my diet soda, recording again. I don't need to know what you got, okay? 2014 already kicked my ass. I'll let you pass. I believe you, 2015, okay? No need to step up. I believe you. I won't start nothing, so don't do nothing. Let's just be friends, 2015. Let's just be friends. What the fuck even am I talking about anymore? I'm talking to a year. I'm talking to a measure of time. This is what this year has done to me, people. All two of you who still follow my videos. This is what this year's fucking done to me. I'm sitting here with a fucking headset on, sipping diet soda, talking to an abstract measurement of time. That's what 2014 did to me. 2014 touched me in places that do not wash off. I can't... I need the doll. I need the doll to show you where 2014 touched me, and I need an adult. Because Jesus Christ, 2014 sucked. I hated that year. Be my friend, 2015. Let's have some fun, 2015. Don't be another 2014. Nobody wants another 2014. Nobody. That guy's a dick. Are you a dick, 2015? I don't think so. I hope not. Hopefully. Possibly. Don't be a dick. Can't we all just get along? I've gone nuts. Okay. With that rant... Now that I'm ranting to nobody in an empty room at a measurement of time, I think that's about the time to... I think that's a good place to leave this off. Fuck 2014, man. Fuck that year. I gotta do something. I'm gonna do something tonight. I still gotta like reinstall the OS, so I'm still not gonna be back to 100%. I'm rebuilding from the ground up basically, here. Because that power surge nuked everything. It destroyed everything I had on that hard drive. It destroyed everything. 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 It destroyed everything on that hard drive. It's gone. All of it. All of the clips. All of that. Everyone? Everyone! That. All of it. Gone. Shit! Some of that shit was shit I was gonna use, too. Fuck. Fuck 2014, man. 2014 was a loser. You're not a loser, 2015, are you? Don't be a loser. Don't be that wallflower son of a bitch ruining everybody's day. I'm just asking you to be a bro, 2015, alright? I already got my ass kicked. I don't need another lesson in humility like I got last year. Yeah, time to go. Time to end this. I'm back.